They're held captive. First and foremost, my book, The Target, in stores on Amazon. Shout out to all of y'all that grabbed a copy of the book, read through it, enjoyed it. May have more coming soon. Also have a new EP coming soon. So make sure you stay tuned in. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. Follow me on Instagram, X, all that sort of stuff for updates at I'm Samurai Black. Links in the description. But let me explain something, because I talked about this like a couple years ago. These rappers, and not even just rappers, but just artists in general, this goes all the way back to like the 40s or 50s, when the music industry started springing up in its, let's say, legacy incarnation. And I talked about on Grown Man Talk, after this live, check out my podcast for Grown Man Talk episode 2, frequency and dark contracts, or energy harvesting, dark contracts, frequency wars, right? I have that linked in the description as well. But I was talking about how all the way back to the early advent of rock and roll to present, when they sign these artists to these major deals, especially like 360 deals, they insert special clauses like your image, name, and likeness can be used in perpetuity, forever, throughout the universe. What the fuck? Why would you need to sign a financial contract that has to emanate through the entire fucking universe? Right? So it raises questions. And I talked about how there's certain insurance clauses put into it to where the label, in the event of an untimely demise of the artist, or whatever the case may be, the label will have an insurance contract on them. So immediately when that artist passes, they get millions, if not billions of dollars. The family doesn't get shit. Their heirs don't get shit. And oftentimes, especially when you look at like hip hop, you look at drill rappers, you look at, all these that promote culture that is negative to what hip hop is really about, who hip hop is really for. They have certain clauses in their contracts, like, and Kanye talked about this too, like, you can't talk about Jesus. If you say the name Jesus, it's a breach of contract. You can't talk about certain things or certain people or associate with certain people, because it's basically not what they represent. It's not what they're for. So let's say, I don't know, if someone came up in a certain walk of life to where they were taught righteousness, right knowledge, right understanding, or overstanding. If you know what I'm talking about, you know. Or right sound reasoning. If they were taught these things growing up, when they sign that contract and they get that multi-million-dollar loan, or they, which is really what these record labels are, they're loans, right? It's not like they sign a deal and they get that money for free. No, they got to recoup all that shit back. So when they get that, they have to adhere to these certain principles, which really aren't principles at all if you look at the root of that word, to where they're not able to talk about these positive things. They're not able to talk about these righteous things. They're not able to make quote unquote conscious rap. They're not able to do any of the things that could actually be beneficial to their audience. And when it comes to that money, oftentimes there's clauses inserted in it to where they can't even give that money to people who need it. They have to keep it. And they can maybe invest it so they can grow it more. But it's a big club. And you're not in it. So understand, like, with a lot of these rappers, and I can start dropping names. I don't really necessarily need to. Maybe I will go in depth a little bit later on. But some of them have said it. Some of them is obvious from the way that they move. Let's think back to, I don't know, 2020, 2021. All the riots are going on. A certain really, really big major artist makes a song called, let's say, I don't know, The Greater Image. And they talk about how people are held down and oppressed, and they're tired, and it's time to fight against it, and all these kind of things. And then what happens after that? They face a scandal, and then all of a sudden they're back to rapping about bullshit, money, clothes, hoes, drugs, killing, right? Go back even further, 2019, another rapper releases a song called, I don't know, let's say Quite a Bit. That's not the song's name, but I don't know, just let's say that's what it's called. And they're suddenly speaking very consciously of the issues that people have to go through in certain communities, right? And then what happens to them? I don't know, maybe they get deported. It's determined that they're a citizen of Ireland and they're not actually US citizens. So there's a big scandal on that. They're held by ICE for several months. They get released by some other major rapper, billionaire. And boom, they're right back out on the bullshit, pushing red rum. Oops, did I let that slip? So yeah, the point is, these rappers are slaves. These rappers are held captive by these contracts. There's certain things they can't do or they'll face very dire consequences. When you join that machine and you join that system, it's, even if it's not understood, it's what it is. So this is why I stay independent. This is why I support artists that are independent and that push righteousness, that push consciousness, that push uplifting the audience rather than, I don't know, destruction. This is why you want to do that. And I really encourage those of you who listen to hip hop, even those of you that listen to other genres, because there's others that are starting to kind of show these same signs that hip hop is showing, like country, obviously pop, rock and roll and metal. That's been washed through. When you see this and then you see an artist that kind of shines through and they actually start highlighting on things and they can actually rhyme it or put a melody on it in a way that it's actually enjoyable, but at the same time you're actually kind of picking up something, maybe you learn something, maybe it inspires you to want to do something, that's good, that's positive. Pay attention to that artist, especially if they're independent and they're pushing that wave, because that's the one that you want to rock with. I gotta bounce. Peace.